4 signs your go-to-market messaging isn't working and how to fix it. If your messaging isn't landing, there are typically 2 reasons. Number 1, it may sound like everybody else. Or number 2, it could be strategically misaligned. We're going to go through those 2. I'll tell you what I mean by that. You might be seeing sales and marketing executives not on the same page about your ICP, your positioning, or your offer. I'm Paul Clinton from The Right Way, and I'm going to share 4 signs that this might be happening to you and how to address it. The first sign that your go-to-market messaging may not be landing is that your ICP isn't clear. Actually, that's more of a symptom, but that's how you can diagnose it. When your ICP isn't clearly defined, your entire go-to-market strategy is going to suffer. You're going to be somewhat surface level on a lot of things. You might think that you're targeting mid-market companies, but that's more of like a census category. That's not detailed enough for your ICP. Your sales team might complain about junk leads, and that could be an indication that the messaging is too broad. Marketing might be creating content for everyone that isn't resonating with anyone. A couple of examples of these would be the phrase, which I've heard from several clients, and I always kind of recoil in horror when I hear it. We serve companies of all sizes. Or, who's your product for? Everyone. One prospect told me, I said, who's your service for? Men and women. So with those kind of answers and that kind of approach, your sales team is going to waste a lot of time on bad fits and chasing its tail on prospects who shouldn't even be part of it. What you could say is, Series B and C SaaS companies with 50 to 200 employees who've outgrown HubSpot. That's if you sold, like CRMs. Sounds like, potentially an ad for Salesforce, but I didn't mean it that way. But anyway, that's kind of one specific way you could do it. Every lead, would look similar in that way, and it's going to be a lot more alignment there. How do we fix this? Well, a precise ICP aligns your entire team, and it makes every marketing dollar work a lot harder. What you're going to want to do is get pretty specific across 4 categories, and these categories are like firmographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. We've actually done a series of videos on these 4. If you want to know more detail about what should be in each of those categories, head over to Paul Clinton's YouTube channel. You can take a look at some of those. We break that down in some might say excruciating detail, but that's the only way to do it, is to be real clear. So you might ask sales, for example, which deals close fastest? Speaking to deal velocity, and use that feedback to come back and alter your ICP based on that. We actually do an ICP refinement worksheet. We have that's part of our standout system. We've developed a 6-step system for helping B2B companies stand out with their messaging. And we'd be happy to share this worksheet with you. If you just want to leave a comment here or DM me, then I'll be happy to share that with you. The second reason why your go-to-market messaging may not be landing would be that you can't list out the problems that you solve. You might be talking more about what you do or your features, your product, rather than what problems you're actually solving for customers. Prospects who talk to you may not see themselves in your messaging. In that way, your sales team might feel a little burned out with a lot of activity, but they're seeing lower conversions. That can be an indicator that might be happening. When you focus on feature-focused messaging instead of problem-focused messaging, here are some of the things that we might hear. Our platform includes CRM, marketing automation, and analytics. I mean, that would be if you sold like a CRM. Instead, what would be better would be stop losing deals because sales and marketing work from different data, which could be costing you 20% of your pipeline. The 20% would be a number you would figure out, from your end and your sales team, but see how that's a lot more specific. Another thing we might see on a website is advanced AI-powered workflow automation. That phrase is bouncing all over LinkedIn right now. Instead, you could say your team wastes 15 hours per person per week on manual data entry that could be spent on revenue-generating activities. Another thing we've seen on websites, real-time inventory management across multiple locations. I've seen that on a few websites of clients that I've worked with. Instead, you could say you're losing $47,000 per month because customers see in stock online, but stores are empty, and they're buying from the competitors instead. Another one I hear all the time: we help companies grow faster. Instead, you could say your sales team closes deals, but 60 days later, customers still aren't fully onboarded, which hurts expansion revenue and causes 30% churn in year one. 30% might be a high number, but it could be an accurate number. So just make sure that you're doing the homework to plug in the correct numbers that your sales team is seeing or that your actual customers are experiencing. How do we fix that? Well, when prospects see their specific problems in your messaging, they qualify themselves, which makes sales conversations a lot easier, and the conversion rates are going to be a lot higher. You can interview your last 10 customers. These are recent customers. What problem were you trying to solve, and what was it costing you? Those are fresh concerns. They just bought your product, so they spend a lot of time thinking about that before they bought your product. So ask them, and it'll be fresh in their mind. You want to map your messaging to problems and outcomes rather than features. You want to create a hierarchy so you understand, what is the primary problem and the cost, what are the secondary problems and the cost, and where does your solution kind of fit into all that. You want to take a look at measurable outcomes. Every piece of content should show a way out of what's limiting their growth. Reason number 3 why your go-to-market messaging may not be landing. You're using too many generic phrases. Generic phrases are unfortunately making you invisible because everybody's using them. You don't stand out. And a lot of prospects can't really tell you apart from your competitors. So they typically just default to like price, or they ignore you entirely. And you never want to be kind of in a price battle. You want your prospects to think more in results-based thinking about how you can help them get the results they need. So, take a look at your homepage, and you might see phrases like industry leading, or innovative solutions, or best in class, or cutting edge, or seamless integration. All of that stuff is probably hurting you more than it's helping you. You might be publishing generic tips without proof, or that don't connect to business outcomes. Again, that type of content is not going to resonate. You might not have done the strategic work necessary to align your business goals with your marketing, and that's a kind of a symptom of that. Too many generic phrases. We have found with many of our clients, when we see that, it's kind of a red flag. When we kind of dig a little deeper, we've seen that some of the business strategy fundamentals are not there. Some phrases that you can try to avoid in addition to the ones we just mentioned, and we've actually come up with a whole list of this, 50 of them, and I could probably come up with 50 more. If you want that list, feel free and just leave a comment or DM me or something. But some other phrases you can avoid would be like cutting edge technology, customer focused, world-class, end-to-end solution, proven track record, robust platform, just a lot of these phrases that don't say anything. So let's take a look at some of these phrases and what can we say instead of, let's say, number one, industry-leading solutions. If you're in SaaS, you could say, software that reduced invoice processing time by 73% for 200 plus finance teams. That's one way to do it. Or you could focus on a specific customer that you helped. Instead of saying like 5 tips to improve sales, this is where we can say, how we helped client X reduce their sales cycle from 120 to 45 days using this framework or process. And that can really help you to kind of zone in on one specific one. What are some things that we can do to fix that? We can, first of all, audit our messaging and eliminate all of these generic phrases. We help many clients do this using our 6-step standout system, and we actually have a generic phrase tracker that we use to help clients eliminate this stuff. And then once we've done that, then we want to replace it with specific metrics, proof points, and concrete examples. So, if you can't prove it or everyone else is saying it, it's probably better not to say that. If you want our generic phrase tracker, just reach out and we'll be happy to share it with you, no cost. The fourth reason why your go-to-market messaging may not be landing is you can't articulate what makes you different. It's positioning, differentiation. This is really a key aspect. And I do hear from clients sometimes who are like under maybe 10 or 15 or 20 million a year ARR. Hey, we're too small. We don't need to worry about this. We just need to focus on our customer. And I get that. That's fair up to a point. But you do need at least to kind of have like a somewhat of a sense of what your competitors are saying and how they're positioning their products, because that just helps us to not sound like everybody else, and it helps us create positioning and differentiators that will give prospects a reason to go with us. Without that clear differentiation, prospects really have no reason to choose you over your competitors, which this will create longer sales cycles for you. It'll create more price pressure and price-based thinking, and many lost deals that you should have made and should have had. The team may give different reasons to the question, why you? Your differentiation might be like a better service, but that's not really connected to business outcomes. We've seen this with several of our clients. We ask them for their differentiators and we say, we just have better service. But it needs to be, that's too generic. It needs to be more specific. The messaging also could potentially fit on any competitor's website. If you do like a test for yourself, you take your messaging, go to your top competitor, see if you could just, layer that onto their website and their messaging. And if you can do that, that's a sign that you probably need to be more specific. Here are a few examples. We have a dedicated customer support team. Everybody does. Instead, you could say, hey, we audit our competitors first, then build yours to exploit their gaps, which, win deals that the competitors will lose. There's some other ideas for rewriting that, but, when we're looking at fixing this situation, what we really want to look at is understanding that the clear differentiation is really going to shorten the sales cycles and reduce price sensitivity. Just having that positioning right is going to help you in so many ways. Prospects choose you for what makes you unique, not because you're cheaper. And that's always a mistake, to try to compete on price. What we can do by understanding our competitors is kind of look for that, what we call white space, the problems, approaches, or angles that competitors are ignoring. And you can own that. Those are angles that you could own that are not being pointed out, and these are probably very real things that many prospects are dealing with, and you could be the company that is known to solve that particular problem or pain point. And then here's another test. If you just removed your brand or your company name, would people know it's you? So you've got your messaging, you take out your company name, and would people be able to identify that it's your company? If not, probably too generic. So again, leave us a comment or send us a DM, and we'll be happy to share this competitive messaging audit with you that helps you analyze a few of your top competitors and come up with better messaging. So it can be challenging to fix generic messaging without first addressing strategic alignment. There are a lot of things that should be done. I know a lot of companies don't want to do business strategy because they just want leads now or something else. But if you get that right, it's really going to help your go-to-market messaging line up with your offer and your ICP. So taking sales, marketing, the executive suite, getting them all on the same page about the ICP, the positioning, and the offer. Super important. So again, if you'd like a competitive messaging worksheet, feel free and leave a comment below or reach out to me. But basically, how do you fix this is you just kind of start, pick one step and start with that, and then just try to kind of move through this. Because once you start improving your messaging while your competitors aren't, you're going to really find some opportunities there to stand out.